Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me.
Down the inside,
Absolutely impossible scene.
This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We're robust. We got our elbows out.
Ronar takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the final round of your PSGL F2 season. The championship decided, but still plenty up for grabs. Bragging rights being one of those things, but many other positions in the championship still yet to go. My name's Joseph Black. I'll be taking you through the action, of course, suited and booted alongside Omi Zaidi. Welcome in, Omi. I mean, we're just... It's great always to bring around a season finale, but, I mean, it's just... Abu Dhabi is such a special place to have racing, isn't it?
It is, and yes, there's no championship fight, but I would say it's more of a landmark day anyway for the tier. This is our 150th race of PSGL PCF2 as a tier as well. Of course, we celebrated our 100th a couple of years ago, but now it is time for race number 150. It's going to be a special one, so while there may not be a championship fight, as I mentioned, it's still a special day for the tier because there's been a lot that has happened ever since, of course, it began in Season 29 and up until this point. We've had a lot of champions crowned, and we did exactly that 1 week ago with Luca Rapassa.
We certainly did. Luca Rapassa crowning champion and being crowned. With 1 round to go, I'm sure we'll be seeing him racing again this evening up at the top. He is in the lobby. He will be racing, but this is the circuit that we will be racing around, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Abu Dhabi circuit here at Yas Marina, and well, this is a circuit that it's been the host of so many Formula 1 finales, so many dramatic moments, and look, we've got more racing action to come as we will head to trackside and to the drivers on the circuit. Look at this, we've got cars out on circuit for the final time in season number 41, and the first one that we are watching on with is Gabor Shontos, the driver who signed for R8G throughout this game cycle, throughout this season cycle, and he's certainly been one that's impressed not just R8G, but impressed pretty much everyone throughout the course of this season 21, season 41 even.
Yeah, he has been very good, has Gabor. Of course, we have to remember, he was demoted down to F3. He dominated that championship. So, of course, he was with us last season in F2. He dominated the start of F3. They promoted him back up to F2, and he's been really trying to find his feet back as well and try and get in the groove of things. And a P4 when it came to the Jeddah Corniche circuit at round 9 was a great performance for him. So he's definitely come charging back and is definitely trying to end this season on a high. So it'll be interesting to see what the Kicksauber man will be able to do today. Hopefully a few better things than knocking over a bollard.
Certainly will be, and there's been a few bollards and a few things knocked over throughout the course of this lap. Isaac Leap will actually be the first one out to race on the circuit, but it will be Gabor Shontos. the second one around the final corner. So we will continue on with the Sauber man as he heads through the Abu Dhabi Street Circuit, and we'll watch you on board as he heads into the first corner, just going wide and then trying to flick the car in, taking the middle curbing, but not too much at this point in time, not pushing the car too hard. It's just about getting a setting lap for yourself in qualifying. Then out of the first segment down towards the end of the first sector, it's a 16.8 for Gabor. Then you want to ride the curbing as much as possible, but weirdly enough you don't want to actually be braking on there, so it's just a brief moment where you have to sort yourself out before you turn into the corner, then head down to, well, the main straight on this circuit, the longest straight on this circuit in fact, and well, you head out of the hairpin with as much speed as you can carry, then heavy braking zone once again into turns number 6 and 7. You head into 6 with as little pace as possible, and then you try and come out of the other end of it with as much as you can towards the second quote-unquote straight, quote-unquote DRS straight even on this lap. It's there is DRS, but it's not quite straight. But anyway, it's a 51 for Gabor Shontos in the first 2 sectors, and now heading into the third one. There's not many overtaking opportunities through here. This is the only one really, and we've seen a fair few dramatic moments. And Gabor Shontos adds another one to the list, invalidating his lap. Isaac Leet will be the first one to complete a lap time this evening. Race Imtiaz will be the next one who will come to the line. He's got a valid lap so far, and he's going to hope to come through the tight, twisted technical section around the final few corners. Indeed, he does, and he's going to be valid, and it's going to be a 1 minute 21.248.
Okay, so the first few lap times then being set on the board. We cut over to Lari Tulki, who goes ahead of Alpine teammate. A 1 minute 21.15. 4 at the front of the field, as Tom Roberts invalidated that time by Tony Hietala. Second place in the championship, has lost a chance to fight for the title, and he is second on the road right now. We cut over to Nelson Alves, who took his first pole earlier on this season in F2. As it stands, he's on for 2, but we've still got 12 minutes and a heap of drivers who are yet to respond, including Sergio Sabrino, who goes top.
Yeah, Sergio Sabrino up to the top of the timing sheets, and that's exactly what he would have wanted to see at this point in time. What can his teammate Conrad Bohm do as he comes to the line? It's going to be a 121.284, so just behind Keedan Lutz, slotting himself right in the middle of that mid-pack, 7th out of the 17 drivers that we've got. But with Gabriel Quintino and Liam Stevens not taking part in qualifying, it's basically the halfway mark of this field. Luca Rapassa, of course, our champion, heading through the final few corners to set his first lap as season 41 champion. And he's got a few more corners to go to see if he can find himself at the top of the timesheet, just like he's found himself at the top of these standings. The number 3 Red Bull then in that beautiful white and red livery up to the top. It's going to be a 121.198. So only just behind Tony Hietala. 5th place for Luca Rapassa. And there's still a lot of work to do as he finds himself over a 10th off of Sergio at the top.
It's a great way to come into the final round, being able to crown yourself the champion 1 round early. We've only seen it done 4 times before in PCF2. He was the 5th 1 week ago at Interlagos, managed to stay in the position to be able to be crowned champion. Another important thing that we do need to mention, our race winner, Leo Lund from Sao Paulo. Well, that statement isn't correct anymore because he got a penalty, and it meant that Conrad Bohm, who had already taken his first podium, that's what we were celebrating for him that day. Instead, he went on to go and get promoted to the top step and take the win as well.
He certainly did. And, well, it was a dramatic race in Brazil, as it tends to be around the Brazilian circuit. And now we head to what will be the final round of this season at Abu Dhabi. And it will be, and we will touch on this later, the last round, at least for the time, the last finale, at least for the time being, at Abu Dhabi. As, of course, if you keep in touch with PSGL on all of the relevant social medias, you will be able to know that, and you'll be able to know the fact that there is a new calendar for season 42 already announced, and it's just a few weeks away. But of course, we keep our attention on season number 41, as you've seen signposted around this circuit. We've got the Premier Sim Gaming League signs. We've got the hashtag season 41. We've also got beautiful cut the simracingsetups.com, which is of course our wonderful partners for this season's action, and you'll see their logos badged about this circuit. But yeah, the first runs are over. The second runs are about to get underway. Perfect timing as Cameron Dowds dives out onto the circuit. It's not a great qualifying lap from himself in the V Cub. Of course, the Red Bulls and the V Cubs have some beautiful liveries, but Cameron Dowds is sporting the pink and white one here today. He finds himself in 11th place. The only driver lower than him has a 21.699, so he clearly backed out of the lap right at the very death of it. But Cameron, I mean, he's slowest of all at the moment. We know that he's got the pace to be further up there, and it's just about trying to find them improvements.
Fourth place he was when it came to our qualifying earlier this season at the Circuit of the Americas. That's his personal best, but he is a driver who absolutely knows how to turn it up. But qualifyings, I mean, they've been okay for him. But the main thing that we've been praising him on across season 41, especially the latter part of season 41, has been the races. And that's of course the most important thing, because that's where the bigger points are scored. So he's had some great performances, he's had some podiums. He came roaring back from the back of the grid in Sao Paulo all the way to get a finish, and to get a great finish it was as well. He got 5th by the time the checkered flag came, and the penalties also were applied. So it was a great job by Cameron Dowds in the race, and he's been producing quite a few good performances in the race, 2 podiums before that. So he's really coming alive near the latter part of this season, and let's see whether he can also just use this Abu Dhabi round to try and complete that.
Yeah, he's going to try and round the season off on a high, of course he will. Because, you know, that's exactly what you want to do to finish off a season. You want to fill yourself with confidence heading into season 42, and you want to fill yourself with confidence pretty much every round, but especially around here today. Dowds heading to the end of the first sector, heading in the middle of the second one to turns 6 and 7 and out onto the second DRS straight, of course, on this lap. As I mentioned before, it's not quite a straight, but it is a prime overtaking opportunity heading down to turn number 8, which is this next braking zone right here. If you can take the outside line and sweep through, then you're going to be bold, brave, but it could potentially pay off. 0.078 is what Cameron Dowds has improved by after the first 2 sectors, and he's got just the 1 sector to go to finish off this lap, to finish off his second run in qualifying. He's been hit with traffic as everybody went out slightly later than himself, but he's done still pretty okay to come to the end of it, and we'll see what Dowds is able to do towards the end of this one. He's currently on a 121.398, needs an improvement, finds an improvement, gets a 10th, and moves up to 8th.
So Dowds goes up to that 8th position, as you mentioned. 7 minutes to go on the clock. A few more drivers rotating their way by to begin post laps. You're looking at one of them right now, Keaton Lott, driver currently in 7th place, looking to try and he'll hope get himself into the top 5 around where his teammate is, or was, because Tony Hietala now is setting the pace with a 1 minute 21.017, so very nearly into the 1 minute 20s. Over the line we go with Gabor. The circuit moving forward, meaning the drivers have to as well. Gabor goes to that front row spot at the moment.
Certainly does. All the drivers creeping closer to the 1 minute 20s. I'm sure we'll be seeing a 1 minute 20 pole time at the very least here today. Tony Hietala closest so far with a 21.017, just 0.017 of a second off Nelson Alves, not improving on his second lap. He remains in 4th, but his teammate Isaac Leak does improve. He moves up to 6th place. The next few drivers to come to the line will be trying to improve, including our pole man from the first run, Sergio Sobrino. Is he the first one to breach the 20s? Not quite. 4 thousandths off of Tony Hietala, 2 tenths off of the target time, and he's still got time to find on the lap. Luca Rapassa slots himself into 3rd place. What can Gregory Prisabil do? He finds his way into the mid-pack, into 7th. His teammate Leo Lund, final few corners for himself. He is second to last in his qualifying session at the moment, but as he heads to the line, it will be a 21.187, slightly improving. As you say, this circuit is improving lap after lap after lap. Conrad Bohm unable to find any more time on his 21.284, and the ET8 driver just about starting on his lap, I believe. Oh no, he improved. He's improved by 2 tenths on that one. My mistake. But yeah, there is lots of improvement. The circuit is gaining time, and well, it's just down to these drivers as to whether they're able to extract the performance.
It can be a case of, especially in F2 qualifying, where if you aren't finding the improvement, then you are basically heading backwards. That's really a case for the entirety of PSGL. We've just had an absolutely extraordinary F3 qualifying about an hour ago, where we had the top 13 separated by 2 tenths of a second. So that tells you how close the margins can be at this level, and these drivers are even that little bit quicker as well. The step right below, of course, the top drivers And of course, we've seen plenty of our champions here go on to drive in F1 esports. And we're taking a look at Marcel Paps then as he makes his way down towards the 9th turn on the circuit. Not properly pushing on at this moment in time, but he'll be hoping to try and get closer to those drivers who are ahead.
Yeah, he certainly will be, and currently he is a 10th and a half of Conrad Bohm in 14th. And what is the penultimate position in this qualifying session? Of course, Gabriel Quintino and Liam Stevens have not set times just yet, and they won't be setting times throughout the rest of this session. Marcel Paps hoping to improve on the 21.4 that he's got at this current point in time. But it really feels as though a 20 is going to be the pole position, which means that, for example, if Paps was to go up there and take that pole position, he would need to improve by almost 0.5 of a second. That would be a huge improvement for him to find. But with just one run left, just one lap to prove themselves, who's going to be taking that pole position?
Good question. It's F2, it's absolutely wide open. So it could be Hietala, it could be Sabrino, it could be Rapassa, it could be absolutely anyone who is right now in that 15, the top 15 right now. Of course, we don't have Coutinho and Stevens who are driving in this session. It was a bit unfortunate. It was a bit unfortunate for Gabriel Coutinho as he got himself into the game. It basically crashed on itself and then it retired him. So when he came back, he was in the sight. Well, he was in the side of where we are right now, watching with the rest of us. So it's not very much worked out for Gabriel Quintino. So he'll be going at the back along with Liam Stevens. They'll be 16th and 17th, but 15 drivers still have the chance to change that top 15 order as they battle over the final pole position of the season. 1 point, of course, available for it.
Yeah, 1 point, of course, available for that pole position. That won't be available to Quintino and Stevens, but it will be available to the other 15 drivers, most of which have headed out onto the circuit already. We're watching on with Keegan Lutt, who was the first to do so. His teammate Tony Hietala was the next. And so it raises an interesting debate for the intra team. So, of course, they enter their own team competition separately. They'll work together in preparation to try and see what they can do. And the likes of Keegan Lutt and Tony Hietala race, of course, for FVR Campeonato, and they'll be seeing what sort of times they go out. They'll also be having a look at the strategy, so don't be surprised if they either go on exactly the same strategy later on or the complete opposite. I think it depends on where they qualify, and at the moment, of course, Keegan Lutt outside of the top 10. Tony Hietala is in pole position, so it's going to be those two. I think it would be Tony Hietala who would take the prime qualifying spot, and the prime. The prime strategy in terms of the two, because of course they are teammates in the game, which doesn't mean all too much in this sort of series, but what it does mean is that they have to work together to avoid pitting on the same lap. But Keegan Lutt to the line to begin what will be the final runs for all of these drivers. Everybody has made it out onto the circuit and will make it to their final laps.
Okay, here we go. Crunch point now. The drivers have to produce a lap time of improvement or they'll be heading backwards. You make your way through the opening turns of this circuit and you can see Lutt just rotating through turn number 5 and he's very nearly up by 1/10 of a second. He's now got the rear wing open down towards turn number 6 as well. And he'll be hoping that he can continue finding the improvement. Realistically, it's this 6-7 chicane that the drivers have to nail, and then you get down towards turn 9, which basically the chicane is very much the second sector, and then of course you've got the straights.
You certainly do. You've got the straights that they're going to be heading down Keegan Lutt towards the end of the second one, and he improves by 0.145. So there's an improvement there for the Haas driver. If he's able to stick this final sector at the moment, he would be up into 5th place. But that is without any gains that he can make out of the final sector. It is also without any losses that he will make in this final sector. And the Haas man now, with just a couple of corners to go, will be hoping to make his stamp on this PC F2 grid for the final time in this season. Tom Roberts has decided that he's done all he can. He pulls off to the side and retires from 11th place. Keegan Lutt, the man behind him, now becomes the man in 8th place, matching Gregory Prisabil with a 21.67. But Tony Hietala up to the top with a 20.865. A great lap from the Haas man that sees himself right up to the top. That's not going to be Nelson Alves to the line. Instead, it's going to be his teammate Isaac Leet. Where is Isaac able to go? He's able to go up to 6th spots Gabor Shontos around the final corner. He's not improved, but he might have lost time in the final sector. It doesn't matter because he has he's invalidated anyway. Luca Rapace, our champion, is he able to stick it on pole? But no, he is able though to get it onto the front row. Gregory Prizabil wasn't improving. He is going to improve minorly in that final sector, up to 8th place. Larry Tulke then to the line. He's up to 8th place, taking that place off of Gregory Prizabil. Nelson Alves up to 6th. And just having a look at the final few times, Keaton Lutt, of course, will not be coming to the line. Leo Lundo has found a massive improvement, switching very briefly to Marcel Paps, who comes around the final corner. He will get a 21.356, the slowest of all. Sergio Sobrino improves, but not enough to gain a position. Leo Lund invalidates on the final corner on a lap time. That would have put him only just a couple of positions up, but it will be Tony Hitala to take that pole position.
Tony Hitala secures his 6th pole in PCF2. Absolutely brilliant stuff. He asked me in the chat today to glaze him, and I can say I absolutely can, because, well, he's the only driver this season to have been in the top 10 in every qualifying this season. So, congratulations, Tony Hitala. He's mastered it once again, and he's on pole.
He certainly has, and is it glazing if it's deserved? Tony Hitala then taking pole position ahead of Luca Rapace in 2nd place, and Sergio Sobrino the only other driver to make it into the 1-minute 20s. Gabor Shontos just outside, as is Race Imtiaz, and then Nelson Alves and Conrad Bohm. Isaac Leet, Larry Tulke, Gregory Prizabil rounding out the top 10s and the 21.0s. Cameron Dowds, Keaton Lutt, Leo Lund, Tom Roberts and Marcel Paps round out the qualifiers, with Gabriel Quintino and Liam Stevens, of course, starting from the back row of this field. But a scintillating qualifying session. Most drivers very well matched and very close together. This should make for a very, very good race.
Hopefully should. It has all the ingredients, doesn't it, to deliver us with an absolutely fantastic race. And that is what we hope will be the case by the time the checkered flag comes at the end of 29 laps. Of course, we're about to go racing for the 150th time in a PCF2 contest. So it is going to be hopefully one which we will be able to remember for seasons and more landmark races to come.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it will be one of those races that we do remember for a very long time. As you can see, we are about to go trackside. We are about to go racing here in season 41 for the final time. And it has been a good season, really. I mean, of course, we've had the championship wrapped up in the penultimate lap, but it's been relatively, considering it has been wrapped up in the penultimate lap, pretty wide open.
It has until that point, and I think that's the fantastic thing. So it is great that we have been able to see it go all the way until this penultimate race, and we look forward to seeing what's going to happen.
We certainly do, as the racing does get underway, and we've got Tony Hitala off to a good start out in the front. Gabor Shontos trying to fight away with Sergio Sobrino for 3rd place. He's going to get through. Sergio's going to try and fight back. Is he able to get back through? Not quite yet. We will continue on with the action as they head down to turn number 5, and it's going to be later on the brakes for Sergio Sobrino. Is he able to hold on to the position? Yes, he is. Further back, his teammate Conrad Bohm gaining on Isaac Leet and Larry Tulke, and up into 7th place for himself, Gregory Prizabil. Going very wide. You can see that McLaren on the right hand side of your screens. Are we going to be seeing overtakes into turn number 6 and out of 7? Larry Tulke and Isaac Leet look the first ones to shape up to do so. Conrad holds on to the position. That might be a late lunge from Isaac Leet on Conrad, but actually it's paid off against him, and Larry gets through into that 8th place. Isaac drops down to 9th. Leo Lund looking to attack his teammate, but Gregory tempted him late and tempted fate. He's made contact. Right down the order goes the McLaren. Lap 1 drama.
Absolutely, it wouldn't be an F2 race without it, would it? As we go wheel to wheel then, and it's going to go Imtiaz and Nelson Alves, who are so close together at this moment in time. So it's been a fantastic start to racing proceedings, but the Hassman of Hitala still leading the way as he makes his way out of turn number 16, and that is getting super tight as Alves tries to throw it up the inside, and he tries to make the move on the run towards the first corner.
Certainly does, and he may well be able to get the opportunity around the outside, and what a move that is from Nelson Alves, but he just gets a bit caught up in the curb, which means Race is able to fight back, and Nelson Alves and Race Imtiaz make contact. Race Imtiaz, no front wing in turn one. He's got to do an entire lap without that now, after contact between himself and Nelson Alves. Larry Tulke and Conrad Bohm just behind that fight now take the opportunity. Conrad has tried to take the chance to pull alongside, but he hasn't quite had the overspeed to do so as they head down towards turn number 6 for the second time in this race. Looking at all of these drivers maybe making a move. Gabor Shontos is one of them, but he can't quite get the overspeed on Sobrino to be able to get his way through. Leo Lund, though, becomes the second McLaren to be facing the wrong way in this race, and he has dropped right down behind his teammate now, right to the bottom of the order. So it's been a horror show for the Papaya side right now, and well, they'll hope to build it back up. It hasn't actually gone too badly considering they've both been facing backwards. Gregory's still in the DRS, Leo's going to be back in it very soon, so it's a reprieve for the side, and they'll hope to get right back into the thick of it very soon.
It will do indeed. So, Hietala with a 7/10 advantage. Then Repassa, Sobrino, Gabor, Alves, Tulke, Bohm, Lutt, Quintino and Roberts. The top 10 as it stands. Coming into the pit lane there in the background was Roberts and Dowd. So they make their way in to box right now on this lap as we enter lap number 3. So let's see how this is going to now play out the first phase of this race, the first stint of the race. It can usually lead to the drivers just battling for that early track position. Talking about track position, that's very tight because Gabor having to look in the mirrors to Nelson Alves, who was really getting close as they went into turn 5, and now he can stand on the power, get on the traction and possibly have a chance to make something in towards the chicane.
Yeah, it's Larry Tulke looking very far to the inside, and Nelson Alves not far enough. Gabor Shontos not close enough to Sergio Sobrino to be able to make his way through. But everybody's still in the DRS from 14th upwards as Tom Roberts, Cameron Dowds and Race Imtiaz made the decision to dive into the pit lane. Race was the only one that we knew with damage. So maybe Tom Roberts and Cameron Dowds knew something that we didn't, but they've dived in and they've made the switch. But the gap between themselves and Race makes me think that is a legitimate pit stop from them just to make the switch onto the hard compounder tyres. That's very interesting. The hards are pretty decent around here. The mediums aren't too shabby either, though. So that's a very interesting call, and they may well be trying to go to the end of this race. But of course, we're on lap number 3. We're already 10% of the way through it. But that does mean they have to do 90% of it on the same set of white wall tyres. Maybe they're predicting a safety car. Maybe they're hoping for a safety car. Maybe there might be rain later on in the race. Who quite knows? They do a lot more than we do, as Liam Stevens is able to hold on to 11th as we've got our next pit stop. Marcel Paps, the latest in, as Lund sets the fastest.
He does. So, on to the fourth tour of the contest we go. Larry Tulke getting very, very close. He's the driver in P6 at the moment, giving chase to Alves, who is also trying to put the pressure and turn on the car ahead. And there we go. We see a bit of a look come in on the inside line. And that was very tight as they made their way out of turn number 5. And now it can very much turn into a bit of a drag race if you feel that you're close enough, if you have some of the battery to use and deploy. But nothing can change at this moment as we head down into turn number 6. And they will try and get themselves very much in position at this phase. They will think about the longer game. You don't want to make contact like we've already seen quite a few times in this race so far. You want to make sure that you've still got a front wing attached and you're still running close to the top to have a chance later on.
You certainly do. That's the way with this Abu Dhabi circuit, really, is that you do want to allow yourself the opportunity to be in the race later on, as Gabor Shontos brakes very late to try and outbrake Nelson Alves. He's successful. I think Nelson's just trying to force a mistake out of the kick Sauber. It was a mistake, but not a big enough one to capitalise on, unfortunately, for the driver right in behind him right now. But yeah, we'll head on to the 5th lap with Tony Hietala having led every single one of them, and Luca Rapassa in 2nd place. Not looking penetrable at the moment. However, Sergio Sobrino looking very penetrable, and Gabor Shontos and Nelson Alves looking like the ones who want to really go and try and fly at him and attack him and take that Mercedes' 3rd place off of him right now. They want to make the most of those medium compounder tyres while they're still able to use them, because later on in the race they will be much better on the hards, as that's a huge send from Larry Tulke if he's able to pull this one off. What a move that would be. But Nelson Alves, I think, a little bit scared, but he does get the exit, is able to come back through, and I think it might have just been a case of braking early just to try and get the exit on the Alpine so that he can take the full advantage of that late braking lunge from Larry Tulke. Keaton Lutt looking for the same thing around the outside, trying to keep a tyre in, and he has been able to keep a tyre in, to be fair to him. The two FVR drivers going side by side, and that's not a great camera angle to demonstrate it, but this is a little bit of a better one to demonstrate that Keaton Lutt backed out of it to pick up the slipstream, to go to the outside line, to try and make the move, but as soon as he stepped out of that slipstream, and this is a theme around here, it was completely and utterly done for. He was completely and utterly done for because the overspeed is not enough around there.
Yeah, the McLarens are going for it. Leo Lund is up against Gregory Prigil. You can see it bottom of screen now. They're about to come in your picture. Will they still be going for it? Of course they will. Do the hotel section. This is really tight stuff between the teammates, and they're getting very close to the wall as Leo Lund gives the elbow to Gregory, who has to get out of it. And now Lund will try and attack Isaac Leach, who is directly ahead. But that was the McLarens who went to war towards the end of the lap. Of lap number 5, we're on lap number 6 now, and we're looking back at Keaton Lutt because he could be lining up a possible overtake. You go through turn 3, 4, and then it's a bit of a sprint down towards turn 5. It comes at you very quickly, and then if you are in a position to make a bit of a dive bomb, then you can go for it, and that's exactly what I'm trying to
Ooh, I think we might have lost
get to the apex first, and for a bit of a run now down towards the braking zone.
Yeah, apologies if we lost Omi momentarily there, but yeah, he is certainly looking for moves on Conrad Bohm, who's looking for moves on Keaton Lutt himself, so no fear from the Mercedes as he tries to fight his way through, but a little bit of a wheel bang between himself and Lutt is going to cost him a little bit of time. Is Gabriel Quintino going to be able to take advantage of that? Well, the short answer for that one, no, he's not going to be able to, but he is able to sit in the slipstream and hope for a mistake from the Mercedes ahead, but of course there's no mistake from Conrad Bohm. Of course there isn't from the Veloce Academy driver as he continues his way through in that 8th place, and will continue to try and fight with Keaton Lutt. Gabriel Quintino though closer than ever, and there's a bit of contact between those two. Done very well to hold on to it as Conrad and Gabriel Quintino as well hand him his flowers, because whilst he did go to the inside, there was a little bit of weird contact between them, and in the end both managing to keep it pointed on the straight and narrow. More drivers into the pit lane. A late lunge from Liam Stevens. What an unbelievable move that was. If you had a look at a screenshot from the end of that corner, you'd think that Stevens would have gone in ahead. Instead, somehow, he managed to get it stopped and turned before Gabriel Quintino even had a chance to react.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic, and Stevens now going hunting once again, looking for the opportunity, and that is going to be, well, one of the more easier moves that he'll get to make. Liam Stevens is on the charge and then some, the man making his 70th race start today. Meanwhile, change of lead. To the front of the field goes our champion of this season, and Luca Rapassa hits the front, and now he's going to control this race on lap number 7. But yes, going back to the point of Liam Stevens, he's played such a big part of F2, nearly done more than half races of F2. And we mentioned it's the 150th F2 race. He's been in 70 of them as of today. So Liam Stevens continuing to produce his brilliance on circuit.
Yeah, certainly trying to continue through, and I think that's a demonstration of the fact that the hards have become the better tyre than the mediums at this point in time. It's only lap number 6, but we have seen a number come in, so I think it might be the case that the tyre is higher than initially expected, and so they might be committing to the two-stop strategies. Tom Roberts makes his way through on Cameron Dowds. It might be that the tyre wear is higher than expected. Are we going to be seeing anybody in on this lap? We're not going to be seeing any of the leaders come in. But no, it does look as though we are going to be splitting the strategies, and Liam Stevens is the only man to go for the hards to the mediums, maybe even trying to commit to that one-stop strategy. Lap number 8 of 29 is what we're on so far, and it very much looks at the moment like Stevens' tyres are much quicker. When the drivers will come in is looking likely to be around lap number 10 for the majority of them. Of course, those who came on the two-stop will will be coming in a little bit later on. But it looks as though the strategy is either medium hard or medium hard if you can stretch that first stint. And of course you have to stretch it very long, which is what these drivers are doing, which is why you're seeing Liam Stevens with so much of an advantage. He's going to have an even bigger advantage on Keeden Lutt as they head down the next straight, because Keeden has dropped outside of the DRS of Larry Tulke. I'm not sure quite how the Haas driver has dropped off so dramatically so quickly, but Liam Stevens 8/10 back. This will get so much closer as Nelson Alves makes his way through on Dowds in the pack that have just come into the pit lane. Dowds, of course, a while ago. Nelson Alves just a couple of laps ago. Stevens is not able to make many inroads on Keeden, but it feels as though that's going to be something that will be a position swap very soon. And Stevens, I'd imagine, will be saving, knowing that he's going to have to push to get back into that range of Larry.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will be the case when it comes to that battle. We'll keep an eye on it. But now Liam Stevens is very much going to be within range to say that. Keeden Lutt's also trying to get himself back inside the 1 second of the car ahead, which is Larry Tulke at the moment, as we rotate our way out of the 16th and final corner on the circuit and make our way down towards turn 1 on lap number 9. So the race looking very interesting at this phase. Of course, Nelson Alves rejoined, having pit a lap ago, and he finds himself with that 8/10 buffer over Roberts, Dowds, and Marcel Pabst, who all made that pit stop earlier. Reyes Imtiaz is also part of that club. He was able to get back on the podium after quite a long time away at Jeddah. But now we look over to see Liam Stevens dishing out the overtakes once again, and, well, dishing it out with ease before the braking zone of 6.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the hards are able to do. There's enough grip at this point in time that he's able to just find his way through, and he will not quite be in the DRS of Larry Tulke on the next time out, but I'd imagine he's going to be able to get it just with the turning circle that you get with those hards. It's just so much better when they are in much better condition than those mediums, and he'll be gaining so much time out of all of these corners. If it's enough to get rid of that 3/10 gap, though, between himself and the DRS of Larry, I'm not quite sure. We will be able to see that as they head through the final few corners. Lap 9 of 29. Are we going to be seeing anybody going for the undercut on the one-stoppers here? I wouldn't be surprised if we do. Of course, lap 10, as I say, probably the optimal strategy, but lap number 9 is going to be an undercut on them, and we know how powerful the undercut is on the F1 game. Nobody making any dice, nobody making any rolls on this lap, and they head to over a third of the way through. Leo Lund, in fact, at the back of this pack is coming in, and I think that's an indication of the fact that more drivers are going to come in next lap, simply because he's right behind his teammate Gregory Prisabil, and that is why he's decided to come in, so he doesn't get held up.
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't want to get held up at all. Doesn't want to get into that situation. Of course, you want to make sure that you are the one that doesn't get hard done by, because you'd lose seconds and seconds, and in a grid like this where everyone's so close together, you cannot afford that.
No, you certainly cannot afford it at all. You don't want to be losing anything at this point in time as Leo Lund comes out of the pit lane. 9.665 off of Reyes Imtiaz. That's going to be an interesting number to keep your minds and eyes out for, as everybody will be diving in within the next couple of laps, and we'll see how much the undercut is worth with Leo. 9.6 behind, as I say, 9.665 behind Reyes Imtiaz specifically, and well, we'll see whether any drivers do come in on this lap. They are in the final sector. This is the last time they'll be thinking about it, if at all, and then they'll be telling their engineers, they'll be telling Mark over the radio it's time to box, then diving in a third of the way through this race, then 2/3 on a set of the hards. Are they going to chance it on this lap? A lot of them are continuing, so I think it might be the case that these mediums are in a better condition than I'm letting on. Anybody else in this lap? No, not even Gregory Prisabil. So I was incorrect about the... oh no, he is actually, in fact, in. He's just a little bit further off the pack than I was expecting. So the McLarens are backing my strategy at least. But everybody else seems to be trying to see how long these mediums are going to last.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. They're just trying to look and see what they can do at the moment in time. We're on the 11th lap. And yeah, you are basically preparing for a pit stop around this phase, but if these drivers can take it a little bit longer with ease, or not necessarily with complete ease, but just enough to get it done without any form of issues, then I guess it works out quite nicely. It works out quite perfectly for them. Especially, it means they can push on a little bit later on in that second phase, where realistically is where you've got to unlock that extra layer, the final bit of the season as well, the final stretch. So you want to try and end it on a high. A few of these drivers, of course, hoping to try and turn mediocre seasons mediocre season into a title challenge season next season. And then of course you have lots of drivers who are going to be taking a bit of a break before we get the DLC. Gabor finds himself running off the road. It'll open the door for Larry Tulke, who will try and go the long way round. Bit of a mistake there from Gabor, and he was nearly punished for it, but he stays ahead of the Alpine man.
Yeah, for the moment, but DRS for Larry Tulke and for Liam Stevens. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one overturned before long, although in fact it may well be the case that Liam Stevens is going to be the one to do it, as he gets a much better exit out of the final corner and is able to find his way through on Larry Tulke with relative ease. Keane Lutt into the pit lane on this lap, so the medium runners dripping their way into the pit lane one by one rather than all of them diving in. And it makes sense. Because they want to have those fresher tyres for the end of the race, especially because those on the hards that came in earlier are going to be going for the 2-stop. Are we going to be seeing a switch for the lead of this race? No, because Tony Hitala steps out of the slipstream and sits in behind. However, we will be seeing a switch for P4 as Liam Stevens gets through on Gabor Shontos. Next up on his hit list, Sergio Sobrino. Those mediums will be screaming out right now, and Liam Stevens' tyres are well within their operating window.
Absolutely. As long as we don't get to Mexico level and all of the chaos that took place there with the punctures, then we should hopefully be good, and we'll trust the drivers in knowing what they're doing around Abu Dhabi at the moment as they continue on to stretch this. But we'll see whether they come in at the end of this lap. If not, then Liam Stevens is going to be happy to try and make some more overtakes. The driver who has moved over to the reserve side this season and has not done many races. He's been watching on with the rest of us, and now he watches as a lot of the field come in. Luca Rapassa, our champion of season 41, continues on, but the drivers who were in behind, Hietala, Sobrino, Gabor and Larry Tulke, all are in to change the compound of tyres.
The big undercut from these drivers now that they're going to be hoping for, as Rapassa, of course, was in the lead of the race. Tony Hitala especially would have been hoping to see himself ahead, as now everybody in. Where is Tony Hitala going to come out? You can see out of the pit lane now as Leo Lund picks up a 3-second time penalty. Tony Hitala is going to be ahead of Marcel Paps? Yes, he is. He's going to slot himself right in behind Tom Roberts and Cameron Dowds. Is he able to find the opportunity to the inside? He has a brief look past Tom Roberts even, but he can't quite find it. They're not next on his hit list, will be Cameron Dowds, but first he's of course got to think about that kick Sauber, and does look briefly to the inside line, but as you step out there is no slipstream for yourself, so he looks to the outside. They might make it 3 wide as Roberts makes the send on Dowds. 1 goes through, 2 goes through, and Dowds looks like he might lose 2 positions, but squeezing that Haas very wide almost into the wall is a defensive strategy taken by Dowds that hasn't quite worked. It was aggressive, but now Dowds and Roberts look like they're working together to try and box in Hitala and try and make him lose as much time as they can. It's a failed job from Cameron Dowds, but as Tony Hitala has now got those tyres heated up, he can try and make the move. Marcel Paps in the background trying to find his way through on Cameron, trying to make him lose time. In comes Luca Rapassa. Now, Tony Hitala has lost so much time on this lap fighting with Roberts and Dowds, and it looks only set to continue. This is dream stuff from Luca Rapassa, as around the final corner now, Hitala is going to put the power down. He's going to pull alongside and most likely ahead of Tom Roberts. Roberts is going to try and squeeze him all the way to the outside line, and Hitala still going to try and sweep through with the grip, can't quite do so, and Luca Rapassa in the meantime out of the pit lane. He is going to be in the lead of the race. Tom Roberts finally lets Tony through, but that is going to be the Haas driver very frustrated, and the Red Bull driver absolutely elated at that, as Marcel Paps and Sergio Sobrino now make their way through on Cameron Dowds and remain side by side. In the end, it's Sobrino with the fresher tyres who slots himself into ninth.
Absolutely. Now let's see whether Tony Hietala can make the move on Luca Rapassa. Well, 2 former title contenders. It looks like we're about to go 3 wide, in fact. Down into the braking zone, getting super close. Hietala trying to get past Rapassa. He's done it. He's made the move, and Marcel Paps boxed in. So around the outside goes Cameron Dowds, and he takes that position. So it is Hietala, then Rapassa. Keep an eye on Roberts. He's getting close, and he's trying to defend at the same time from Sergio Sobrino. Can he dive bomb at turn number 9? He can. And that will be him leaving the corner ahead. We're still wheel to wheel. Further back in the order, that's Lutt trying to put some pressure on Marcel Paps, who is dropping down the order. Lutt going for it the long way round. Paps was late on the brakes in comparison to Gabor, and it's a mess. It's an absolute mess further back, and it looks like Marcel Paps has come off worst of all the drivers.
He certainly has, and he drops to the back of that pack now with Lut, Prizabil, Tulki, all having better tyres than the Ferrari. It was only a matter of time before they made their way through. They all made their way through very, very quickly. Cameron Dowd still fighting away, as that's Conrad Bohm. Cameron Dowd still fighting away, but cannot quite get the grip on Gabor Shontos, and so Gabor makes his way through. And next up is his own teammate as Marcel decides to retire from this race. That's unfortunate, and that is our first driver out of this race with half of it gone. Keaton Lutt looking to the inside of Dowds now for turn number 5, and he's able to get through. That is the difference in grip between those new hards and those old ones. That's why Tom Roberts was able to find his way through with so much ease on the drivers before, and he lets his teammate Gabor Shontos through to set up a move on Sergio Sobrino, maybe within the next few laps. If he gets held up, if he gets caught up fighting with Rapasa and Hitala.
Absolutely. There was a little look from Cameron Dowd, I should say, who was looking for an opportunity, and he's still looking for it. In fact, as well, it's Gregory, though, who is actually going to be the one making the move. Sometimes you can kind of find yourself losing out positions if you get boxed into turn number 6, and that was the case for Dowd, because Gregory is able to take the place. Tulki's ahead as well. Meanwhile, further up, that's Lutt making a dive bomb move on Tom Roberts, and he's able to take that position. P7 now for Keaton Lutt as he is about to round out the final few corners of this lap, but major pressure. Roberts is coming under, and he's going to come into the pit lane now, of course, with those tyres that were fading away, and also Dowd also makes the move into the pit lane as well.
Yeah, they make their move, and they make their final pit stop of this race. They've done 12 laps on those hards. They will now do 13 laps on their final set of hards, and they will have to push very hard towards the end of this race. Liam Stevens has not seen the inside of the pit lane throughout this entire race. Cameron Dowd, his teammate, has seen it twice, but Liam, I'm sure, will be coming in very soon to make the switch and maybe do something along the lines of 10 laps. So maybe just a couple of laps' time before we'll be seeing that V-carb in. Nelson Alves, I'd imagine, as well, will be trying to dive in. Although, to be fair to him, he can do 18 laps on them tyres. They're not going to be in any good condition at all, but he will be able to make his way through towards the end of this race if he manages them correctly. Conrad Bohm through on Race Imtiaz and pushes enough to get within range of Leo Lund for the next DRS zone for the top 10 positions, and Gabriel Quintino in the background looking for a move on Race Imtiaz, gets it done. And again, difference between brand new hards and those worn hards. That is why the two-stop strategy is being employed, as that's a late lunge from Isaac Leet to try and get through. That is why the two-stop strategy is being employed, because whilst they do have short bursts of the stint where they're going to struggle on the tyres, I mean, when they've gone for the two-stop strategy, they're going to have much stronger tyres on average than those who are going to be stretching it to the end. So you think of the likes of if Nelson Alves does go to the end of the race, he's going to have 22-lap-old hards. They're going to be screaming. But against, 13-lap-old hards, it's going to be night and day, the difference.
It will be indeed. Over the line we go then with the drivers in your picture. Isaac Leet, as he completes his rookie season in F2. Quintino has had a few at it after becoming an F3 champion a couple of seasons ago. He thought he had got himself to the victory at Barcelona until it was taken away from him, and he is still trying to pounce back and still trying to get himself to that top step of the podium, and hopefully we'll see it happen eventually for him. He's been doing some great work. Conrad Bohm had that happen to him 1 week ago, and Leo Lund is a regular at the front, but unfortunately is having a day to forget today, and especially in the last few rounds, as he's seen the championship challenge fade away, and now he has lost out to Conrad Bohm on the circuit, and he's trying to come back on the outside line into turn number 9, but there won't be a move there on the Mercedes that time by.
Yes, it's going to be staying in position. Conrad Bohm defending successfully in that Mercedes for the time being for that final place in the top 10. There's a gap of 3.6 between those two drivers, which is the biggest gap until you look up to Tony Hitala for third place. So it's not looking like these drivers are going to get any higher than scraping a top 10 here today, unless the undercut works for themselves, or unless they can get those tyres really kicked in, and that's Conrad Bohm and Gabriel Quintino. Conrad has got those tyres kicked in. He set a 25.0, so the lap time is certainly promising for the VA driver, who will be going to the end of the race now on that set of hard compound tyres. And they won't actually be in too bad condition, all things considered, but yeah, we will see. where he ends up at the end of this one, as he is closing the gap to Gregory Prisaville quite quickly. And apologies for the frame rate drops down the back straight. I don't know why that's happening. I assume there's some sort of lobby thing going on, because there has been a few moments today where it has looked a little bit like maybe a bit of desync going on in the lobby, and of course that's not what these drivers will want. That's not what we want, because we want to provide the purest racing experience possible, and we want the drivers to have the same thing, and as I'm sure they will do as well. Rapasa 3/10 back on Tony Hitala, and well, he might be setting a move up on the FVR man, as the FVR man closes in on Nelson Alves as they go. Very wide line for Gabriel Quintino as he goes to try and take it off Leo London. In fairness, he takes it. 11th for Gabriel Quintino. In comes Liam Stevens.
Okay, Liam Stevens comes into the pit lane, and yeah, as you mentioned, with the lobby, well, we don't have our regular host, and there's been hours of argument of who's going to host. We finally got one in the end, so we're going to have to make do with that today as well. At least we've got a race. It's better than nothing, and nearly losing the car was Leo Lund out of the final corner, and it means that he is going to find himself losing out to Isaac Leite, who sails on by on the outside by the time he got down to the braking zone of turn number 1. And Gabriel Quintino sees Liam Stevens rejoin. Of course, Quintino has those tyres warmed up to temperature, but Stevens, when he does so, will of course have those mediums to try and attack the drivers up the road.
Yeah, he'll have the better tyres for a very short amount of time, and well, at the moment Gabriel Quintino going to try and make the most of his, but he won't be able to. Liam Stevens, is it going to be any better if we ride on board? Well, he's made his way through in the meantime on Conrad Bohm very easily in the end with the DRS, so he has fired those tyres up, and the V-carb is fired up to continue his charge up the field. It's a 1.9 second gap between himself and the top few, as Tony Hitala leads this race, but only by 0.4 of a second to Luca Rapasa. This is the fight that they had early on. This is the fight that they are going to continue to have throughout the rest of this race. It is the current champion against the man who took pole, so theoretically the fastest man around this circuit, and so they are going to go hammer and tongs for the remainder of this race. Don't forget about the likes of Sabrino, Shontos and Lutt as well, who stayed in there all race long. Lutt, of course, going for the undercut. That's exactly why he's able to get in the middle of that pack. But Sabrino and Shontos, and Larry Tulke to an extent as well, they've all been right in the thick of things all race long. With 9 laps to go, you'd imagine that there's going to be, from someone, a bit of fireworks.
Absolutely, it's PSGL PCF2. Of course, we're going to get some form of fireworks as well. That is usually the case in these races when you have the drivers pushing to such an elite level and pushing so much. It can lead to moments of brinkmanship, can lead to a bit of contact here and there. Luca Rapasa, well, he capitalized on it at Mexico when the leaders crashed on the final lap right before we ended the 2025 year. And it was a great moment for him when he went on to take the win and turn a 17-point gap into a 1-point gap heading into 2026. And then, well, the rest was history, really. And he's been able to provide brilliance behind the wheel. And he's still doing that, even with the championship wrapped up, as he looks to try and end the season with race victory. And, of course, equal the all-time win record as well. So there's a huge opportunity for Luca Rapasa. Let's see whether he'll be able to get it done by the end of this evening, as he now tries to hunt and stay with the driver of Tony Hitala.
Yeah, it'll be a monumental victory if he's able to take it. It'll be a momentous victory if he's able to take it. But that's a big if at the moment. Tony's been very quick all weekend long. He's not looking like he wants to stop. Larry Tulke is going to be overtaken by Liam Stevens. It looked like briefly he was going to come into the pit lane, but he was just defending the inside line. Through goes Liam, and he goes up into 6th place on those mediums, as I think it was just sort of a succumbing of position, as through goes Nelson Alves to the fastest lap, 24.6. Huge lap from the Williams man, as he's currently the second Williams driver on this circuit. It's not been his day, and he finds himself in 12th, 5.4 off of his own teammate, and 5.4 off of the pack for this lead. So it's 11 drivers within the DRS range of Tony Hitala, the leader of this race. Liam Stevens through on the next one. He may well become very, very soon a favourite to take the victory. He's currently just made his way into the top 5, but with the way that he's been driving, with the pace that he's had, it looks like he might be able to pick off the drivers ahead very easily. Conrad Bohm as well through on Gregory Prisaville and up into 8th, and 1.4 off of Larry Tulke. So the DRS has been broken, and Conrad is going to have to push over the next lap if he wants to hold on to that position, because he'll have to either make it into the DRS or defend for his life ahead of Gregory Prisaville.
He will do indeed. So the race beginning to come alive a little bit as well as we enter this final stage. You've got the charge coming from Liam Stevens. You've got the drivers on the hards looking to try and do their best job of putting a defensive job on in the final stages of season 41. And what a brilliant campaign it's been, and a brilliant campaign that's going to be ended with dive bomb moves and overtaking from Liam Stevens, who barges Gabor out of the way and moves on to P4. He's not waiting around. He's got 3 more cars ahead of him, denying him the P1 spot. Next up is Sergio Sabrino. He'll gain out of turn number 3 and 4, and then by the time he gets to 5, he'll be tucked directly beneath that Mercedes car, and then we'll turn it into a traction race, and now we'll have the chance in this very long straight that leads us down towards turn 6. And I wonder whether Luca Rapassa will be doing something, because he'll know as well that Liam Stevens is coming. So Rapassa chooses to make the move on the circuit as Liam Stevens is getting closer and closer and sending the lunge into the braking zone. Liam Stevens dive bomb move incoming then, and he'll try and turn this one into the position as he stands on the power. Better traction of the corner, rubbing wheels with Sergio Sabrino, but by the time he'll get down to turn number 9, he'll hope he'll have the place, but Sabrino is refusing to yield this position, but the mediums take Stevens ahead. P3 now on the road.
Yeah, P3 for Liam Stevens. He wants to make these moves as quickly as he can. That's why he forces his way past Gabor, because he wants to make the most of when these mediums are the best tyre. He's got about 3 more laps until the hards are so much better. So Liam is going to have to really push now. He's 4 tenths off of the back of Tony Hitala, and he is making the most of those mediums at this point in time. He is doing such an incredible job of just timing those moves to perfection. Whilst they've had fight back, yes, of course they're going to have fight back at this point in the race, and it's unconventional to try and go for the longer stint. It's unconventional to try and go for the hards to the mediums here, but that's exactly what Liam Stevens has done, and the number 67 V-Carb now has his way onto the podium and has his way into the fight for the lead. He's got a crack in the door, and from the very rear of the field he tried something different, and it may well pay off for him. DRS will be open for everybody here down the back straight, everybody down to 8th place. Gregory Prisabil, the first one who's outside of that range, and Nelson Alves actually doing a pretty good job to make it back in almost to the DRS of Isaac Leet, fighting between Quintino and Prisabil for that 9th place, and it will be in fact Quintino who holds on to 9th, and Isaac Leet who tries to take it on the exit from Prisabil as well, make the Australian lose 2 positions in 2 corners. He doesn't do so. Rapassa holds on ahead of Hitala. This is going to spice up right at the very end of this race, as Stevens only 3 tenths back now, so he's gained a tenth on the last lap on Tony Hitala. Omi, I believe you may well be muted. Or have we lost you? Hopefully we'll be able to get Omi back for the remainder of this race. Of course, 5 laps to go, so not long at all. And we got this fight on for the lead of this race. Rapassa, Hitala and Stevens. We've got fights pretty much up and down the field as well. Gabriel Quintino fighting with Isaac Leet and Gregory Prisabil for that 9th place. All in the meantime, Nelson Alves catching up to them, and them catching up to Conrad Bohm for that 8th place. And once they've caught up to Conrad, they've caught up to the rest of this lead pack as well. So it's a crucial point to try and make their way within it. And at the moment, they just remain within the fight. They just keep hanging themselves in there. Liam Stevens not able to make the move on Hitala just yet. He's going to have another go down the next DRS straight.
He will indeed. So let's see whether he can try and get it done. Tucked directly in the wheel tracks, getting closer to Hitala. And he won't be able to do anything inventive down through turn number 9, because Hitala was also getting close to Luca Rapassa as well. But can now Liam Stevens stay tucked in behind to try maybe do something magical in this 3rd sector? He forces a defensive shape, and he's trying to go all the way around the outside. That's a brave move. He's turned it into the inside line, and Liam Stevens is going to use the better traction now to go on and chase Luca Rapassa, because he has cleared Tony Hitala, and Liam Stevens moves up to 2nd place.
Certainly does. He's got one more driver to pick off before he has this lead, and it's a 7/10 gap between himself and that man, Luca Rapassa, who is just ahead of him on circuit right now, who's on the worst tyres at this point in time in the hard, but the opportunity, the potential and the better tyre to be on has switched. Liam Stevens 6 tenths off of the back of Luca Rapassa. DRS will see him try to get closer. DRS will see him closer, but will it be close enough for a move? 25 of 29. We are reaching the culmination of our season, and I think it's going to end in drama. Just looking at these drivers, they are ready and waiting for a fight. And, well, with just the 4 laps to go now, Liam Stevens is going to try and make the move on Luca Rapassa. There will be a move for the lead of the race, no matter how far back that man is. They've got nothing to lose now. It's the final race of this season, and so they're going to be hyper-aggressive to try and end it off on a high. Everybody remains in formation in the top 8. And, well, this just looks like it's going to be a fight that continues all the way to the end. I say the top 8 because Quintino is going to go for a move on Isaac Leet, and he remains on the outside line. Is Nelson Alves able to sneak away through on his teammate? Quintino is one driver through, and Nelson looking to the inside is going to try and make it 2. A squeeze from his teammate warrants a squeeze back from the Brazilian, and they stay in formation. And Nelson Alves, in fact, I believe is Portuguese. He's not Brazilian, but he just tries to make his way through. But in the end, he is not able to do so, and the Williams driver remains in behind the Williams driver.
Absolutely. So formation flying over there. Liam Stevens needs to make the move now, and he needs to do it very, very quickly, because you have to also consider the tyres very much will begin to fade away. So, you know, it's going to be now meaning that there's a gap being formed to Luca Rapassa, and it seems like that he possibly left it a little bit too late. The Williams are absolutely going for it. Nelson Alves able to get through this time by on Isaac Leet, who will now get the right to reply. They've both got DRS. We're heading down towards turn 6. Are we going to see the fight back coming? Of course we are. From Isaac Leet, who is getting to the inside. Can he get the car slowed down? They'll run wheel to wheel. They've already been close to contact. There's millimetre stuff between them. Out of turn number 7 and 8. All over the curb for Isaac Leet, and he rejoins still alongside, still banging wheel to wheel with his Williams teammate Nelson Alves. We're heading to turn 9, still nothing to separate the pair of them, and Isaac Leet with the inside line. He gets there, he parks it in the middle, and he takes the racing line and takes P10.
He certainly does defend position. Nelson Alves, though, still looking for a move, and to the inside, defended by his teammates, so he holds on to it for the time being. The top 10 still being scrapped over. Gabriel Quintino, in the meantime, able to break free. Lap 27 is about to begin. 3 laps left of our season, and Liam Stevens' tyres have well and truly gone off. Luca Rapassa is going to be thanking his lucky stars that Liam Stevens pitted maybe 1, maybe 2 laps too early, and now he finds himself in a tricky scenario where the hards will be coming back to life. It's about even at the moment, but very, very soon, Tony Hitala will be really, really trying to fight him and wrestle him for that P2. Sabrino as well will want that P3 back, and of course, where everybody will want those positions back. Imtiaz into the pit lane. Is that going to be the end of the Alpine's day, or is he going to be trying to go for a fastest lap right at the very end? It is going to be the end of his day. Unfortunately, Race Imtiaz has called his season to a close. That leaves us with 15.
Indeed, just like qualifying, 15 drivers remaining in the mix, and it's Rapassa, Stevens and Hitala the top 3, and Stevens is doing all he can right now, but those tyres have absolutely faded away for him, so it's kind of in a weird position now where he's going to have to possibly just look in the mirrors and defend from Hitala. That's all he'll really be able to do.
Yeah, that's all he's going to get the chance to do, although he has been able to gain on Rapassa on this lap, but I think it might just be a bit of a case of our champion taking the pressure off of himself and just having a cruise to the end. He's got 2 laps to go, and we are going to see what he is going to be able to do. If he is going to end off this season as champion, it will be a thoroughly deserved victory lap for himself. Of course, he is the champion, but if he is able to take this victory to seal his championship, then he's going to be very, very happy to do this victory lap. He's just got a couple of laps to go in this one. 28 to 29, the penultimate lap of season 41, and it's been a great one for Luca Rapassa. Stevens, he's got just one more opportunity with that DRS, but really he's not close enough to make the move, and so Liam Stevens will have to settle for P2. But Tony Hitala, he's going to have saved. He's going to be waiting for Stevens' tyres to go off. This is going to be his opportunity better than any other.
Absolutely. This is going to be the chance now Tony Hietala needs to absolutely go for it. If Liam Stevens, well, if he can absolutely try and wrestle that car around and maybe get the DRS, then there could be somewhat of a chance, but even then it's unlikely because this third sector is going to mean that he's dropping further and further and further away. But Rapasa makes his way through. 4/10 the advantage he's got through the final couple of corners, and we are about to head on to the 29th and final lap of the race here at the Yas Marina circuit. We will make our way out of turn number 16, and for season 41 we're about to bring it to a close. One more lap remains, 16 turns to go around this circuit. Is it going to be Luca Rapasa making some history, making some further history as well, because he's already our champion this season. He became the first Dutch champion last time out, as he's going to now do his best and try and defend this position. Liam Stevens is around 7/10 away. Tony Hietala, same applies to him. He's 7/10 away as well. We rotate our way out of turn number 5 and down towards turn number 6. Stevens now has to get on with it. He has to use the battery, use all the battery that he has got left if he wants to try and take this one away. Remember, he started 17th and last on the grid. He didn't participate in qualifying. He's giving it his all, but I don't think there's going to be the chance because he pitted a little bit too early as Laurie Tulke loses out to Conrad Bohm, who is trying to gain some positions as well. We cut over to this battle now, and that's Laurie Tulke ahead of Keegan Lott. Then it is Conrad Bohm, so it's very close between them, and Luca Rapasa has been able to keep the lead, so he's making his way into the final sector, P1, and our champion of this season is going to end it in absolute style here in Abu Dhabi. He came into this race on 7 wins. He's about to turn it into 8, and not only that, but he is about to equal the all-time win record that is set by Angelo Di Ortenzio. Out of the final corner, Luca Rapasa wins for an 8th time in PCF2 and equals the all-time win record at 8. It is Angelo Di Ortenzio and Luca Rapasa, the 2 top drivers when it comes to wins at this level.
Yeah, Angelo in the chat as well, and he would have been watching on that last lap with Luca Rapasa looking at his record and equaling it, potentially beating it next season. But we'll talk about that in a minute, as we'll see Dowd and Roberts, 2 teammates of the line, and will actually cut away from them for reasons that hopefully will be able to be obvious. Then Leo Lund will be the final finisher of this season. Gregory Prisabil retired around turn number 3 of this lap. There was a bit of drama on the last with Tulke, Bohm and Quintino in turn number 6. I'm sure that the stewards will be happy that there is a bit more work to do this season, but the fireworks will be coming out here, not just for the end of the season, for the Dutchman Luca Rapasa, who is going to be taking that championship trophy home. And well, what a way to seal your season off.
Yeah, absolutely perfect. Extraordinary stuff from Luca Rapasa, the deserving champion of this season, and he is going to find himself, well, celebrating it, I am sure. He was promoted to 2nd at Brazil last time out after the penalties were applied for Leo Lund. But today, it's all going to be about his race victory and, of course, the championship that he has also taken with it. So huge congratulations to Luca Rapasa. An absolute brilliant job. Remember, his F2 career, well, he was able to take a victory in his maiden season in a drag race to the line with Riccardo Benzoni at Silverstone. That was quite a special day for him. He's not done things the normal way. It's always been high intense, but at least he had this final race, Joseph, to just relax a little bit, but still able to take the win as well by the end of it.
Yeah, he chilled out right at the very end of this race. Of course he did, because he wanted to be able to savour being in the lead of the race, the championship and everything that comes. He took victory with coming from 2nd on the grid to 1st, and Liam Stevens from 17th to 2nd, so a good drive on the alternate strategy for the Briton. Then Tony Hietala taking 3rd place, Sergio Sobrino in 4th, then Shontos, Tulke, Bohm, Quintino, Lutt and Leet rounds out the top 10. Nelson Alves just outside, Tom Roberts, Cameron Dowd, Leo Lund, and then Gregory Prisabil and Ray Imtiaz are both classified, with Marcel Paps our only DNF. But that will call season 41 to a close. Thank you to those of you who've joined in, watching this evening, watching throughout the course of this season. And well, it's been a great one, all things considered, hasn't it? Really, with just so many different twists and turns, so many different drivers who found themselves at the top, And, well, we already can't wait for the next season to come.
Absolutely. It is all eyes on next season now. We will congratulate Luca Rapace on his title winning season, but all eyes, all focus is going to go to the, well, what would be the final season on a game cycle, but this game will of course be extended a little bit further. So we'll have to do a little bit of waiting as we momentarily show you a little bit of the calendar on Joseph's camera side. You can see we end the season around 10 at Jeddah, so it won't be at Abu Dhabi. It will not be at Abu Dhabi, everybody. It'll be at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. But yeah, it's been absolutely an incredible season, and we've had plenty of people who have helped made it possible as well, including Connor, who of course stepped away heading into the new year, but he's been a big part of F2, and he won't, for the first time ever, not be doing the PC placements as well.
Exactly. It'll be Connor out for the first time for a very long time, and it's the end of huge dynasty, and we have lots to thank Connor for as far as PSGL goes. Without him, PSGL is not a thing, and so therefore we move over to our new management, and we move over to Krypton, who of course Connor has stated many times that he couldn't have done it without either. But we will see Kryptonite first season race calendar. You've seen it for just a moment, and you can see it a little bit longer right now, as I forgot that it was streaming my Discord. But there we go. The race calendar for season 42 will be starting off at Spain very, very soon, all things considered. Just a couple of weeks' time, we'll be kicking off on the 12th of February, and that, of course, will be the racing on the side of on the side of PC to kick things off, as we should do. And next round will be Azerbaijan and then Austria, and then we've got a break to start off March. Texas, Netherlands, Brazil, Singapore, and then Belgium, Abu Dhabi, and Jeddah will round out our 10-round season, so slightly shorter but no less action.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. 10 rounds, hopefully will deliver us with a fantastic campaign. And so far, well, on this game cycle, we haven't had a championship that has gone down to the final race due to Angelo Di Ortenzio's brilliance last season. And also, of course, Luca Rapace with what he's done this season. So who knows? It could be a bit more wide open next season, and we could see it go all the way down until the 23rd of April at Jeddah.
We certainly could. But now we have a couple of drivers in the interview room. I'll throw it back to us. Or I won't. I'll throw it back to the driver interview screen, which is fit for this purpose. And, well, we'll get the opportunity to speak to the man who, well, qualified on pole position, of course, but it didn't quite end up in the position that he would have been wanting. It is, of course, Tony Hitala, who joins us now. And, well, Tony, it was just... It was great pace from yourself, but do you want to just sum that race up for us?
Yeah, I mean... I lost 4 seconds on my outlap on the hards to some interesting people. I mean, I knew what they were doing. I lost 4 seconds there. Luke overcut me, and then that was the win over base.
That we are back up and running now. There we go. We are back. So I apologise. Was anything? Omi, have you got anything for Tony before we go? Asa, of course. I mean, you sealed it last week, but what a way to take it home.
Yeah, it was a decent race. Was very boring, but yeah, got the win, so I'm happy.
Yeah, you certainly did, and well, it was great to see you at the end of this season. Of course, rounded out. Did you think you were going to be under any more threat from Tony than you ended up being?
Well, I knew I had 1 lap better tires. Then I didn't know what exactly happened on the out lap, but I came out ahead. And then I knew when Liam pit, he was going to be the biggest threat. So I just overtook Tony and just kept the pace up high, so Liam couldn't save any battery or tires. So
yeah, it was. It looked like it was going to be very close, and as soon as he got close, the tires seemed to go off. Omi, have you got anything?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Rapace, on the championship, of course, as we said a week ago, and also the race victory. Well, you have been able to do it after mentioning it a few times in interviews across the season. You have been able to equal Angelo Di Ortenzio's record of 8 wins. You also now have that 8 number. How does it feel?
No, so it's quite a nice feeling. Of course, it's they like some big names have won right at the top of that. So I'm happy to be there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's your future plans then, of course, as we bring this season to a close? Are we expecting you back at all?
No, I think with how this game has to be driven, I think I'm done, to be honest. I'm gonna enjoy a little break until the new DLC comes out.
Yeah, well, fair enough, fair enough. Thank you very much for this season, for speaking with us when it has come to interviews, and also for your brilliant driving on circuit. And whatever you do for the rest of the next few months before we do get the DLC, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for commentating.
No worries. That was Luca Rapassa for us, Joseph.
Certainly was. That was indeed Luca Rapasso. I don't have to drag him because he's already gone. But yeah, he can go and celebrate all he would like. And well, of course, the way this game cycle has been, it's a shame, but not a surprise to be seeing him go, which is unfortunate, but it is the way that it is. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be the end of... he's not going to be able to match in the end with everybody's favourite driver, Angelo D'Ortenzio. Who it seemed like he wasn't bad, he was trying to nitpick your stat there, saying that he had one more season to do so. But yeah, I mean, we've got another season of racing on this game cycle. How are you feeling about it, Omi?
Well, I guess bring it on. I guess it's the only thing we can do, no matter what drivers we have. I think whoever hopefully signs up wants to race, does have enough motivation to get through to the end of the season, and we can actually have a good campaign. Which, sometimes when you do get the big guns off the grid, it can lead to quite a mixed season and quite a good season as well. So they'll all be watching with the rest of us as we see some more newcomers as well. We've had a great championship battle in F3 that finished a few moments ago as well. So quite a few talented drivers there. It'll also be great to see them get some promotions. But yeah, I guess it's business as usual, and hopefully we'll still have a good season and we can make something out of what has been a tough game cycle and wrap it up on a bit of a high.
Certainly will be, and that F3 title fight is one to definitely check out if you haven't already. So head over, make sure you check out all of the social medias that are listed right above, and of course if you type in PSGL, which is so absolutely massive, will come up when you type in that four letter thing. But as I say, that F3 championship is one to check out. But from ourselves at PSGL, thank you very much for joining us for season number 41, and well, the next time.